Hi and welcome. I'm Lisa, and today I'll share a little bit about the festival of Lughnasadh. That's how it's pronounced, I've been told. Lughnasadh, what it's all about, what the themes of this time are, and how you can celebrate it in your life if you wish. And so first of all, Lughnasadh is the first of 3 harvest festivals in the Wheel of the Year. The Wheel of the Year are 8 festivals over the course of a year that represent the cycle of life, death, rebirth. So starting from winter solstice, where the sun is reborn, new life begins, all the way up to summer solstice, where we celebrate this fullness of life. We're now on the downturn and moving towards the dark half of the year again. And in this cycle, Lughnasadh is the first festival of harvest. At summer solstice, we have we've already celebrated the abundance of nature, and I've explained all about that in a different video that you can watch on my YouTube channel. And now we are in this time of maturation, where the first fruits on the field and in the gardens are ripening, and we can have the first harvest. And it's usually celebrated on August 1st, which according to the solar calendar, the sun calendar that we usually use, is like the halfway point between summer solstice on June 21st in the Northern Hemisphere and autumn equinox on the 21st of September in the Northern Hemisphere. And for August 1st marks the halfway point. That's why we often celebrate it on August 1st. But really, it's a quality of time. It's not just one certain point. It's more the whole atmosphere right now. And also in former times, when people didn't use the solar calendar but a lunar calendar, they would celebrate it in the lead up to the 8th full moon of the year, which usually falls into August. So you can choose if you want to celebrate it on August 1st or in the lead up to the 8th full moon of the year. And yeah, why do we even celebrate it? So Lughnasadh comes from like the Celtic traditions, and there are also different other names for it. So it can be called Lammas, which is derived from loaf mass, because the first grains will have people bake the first bread, and so the first bread is celebrated. That's where Lammas comes from, but it's also called the festival of the reaper goddess, who helps us cut the corn or cut the grains on the fields. Also grain festival, or even the Assumption of Mary. But it's all at the heart the same thing that we celebrate, no matter which culture, tradition, or belief you come from. At the heart, it's about being grateful for what nature offers us, the gifts of nature, the food we can harvest. And yeah, really this first harvest, that we can be nourished, that we know we will have something to sustain us through the dark half of the year. And Lughnasadh comes from the god, the sun god in the Celtic Irish traditions, Lugh, and I hope I pronounced that correctly, but Lugh is representative of the sun. And now, as the sun is waning, it's climbing down on the horizon and moving towards, as I said, the dark half of the year in the Northern Hemisphere. The sun god is aging and preparing himself to die for us, basically sacrificing himself. Like the sun, which gives life on earth, has made all the grains grow and the fruits and the plants and everything. And now it's preparing to die, so that we as humans, or also animals or other beings, so that we can live, because the grain is cut and we can live and be sustained through it, nurtured through it. But don't worry, the sun god is going to be reborn on winter solstice on December 21st in the Northern Hemisphere. That's why it's a cycle. It's a never-ending cycle. And at this moment, we can think of and be grateful for this first harvest, which is a death of sorts, because, as I said, the grain, the plants, the fruits, they give their fruits, their children, to die for us, not just humans, but living beings, so that we can live on. And I sometimes think about, like, how different would the world look if we could really cherish and appreciate this sacrifice in our life. And I mean, I don't do it myself as often as I would like to, but if we make ourselves aware that everything we eat gives its life to us so that we can be nourished, and in return, like, we produce fertilizer, and we give too, but like, at least by being grateful, we show some appreciation of the sacrifice. Yeah, so sometimes it's good to remember that. As for the quality of this time, it's about processing, like harvesting and processing this first harvest of the year, and starting to build the necessary supplies that will sustain us through the dark half of the year. I mean, obviously, in today's world, we can get pretty much anything all year round, imported from different countries. At least that's where I live in Europe, and in most Western countries, we can get anything we want all year long. But in former times, this used to be the beginning of building supplies to be sustained through the winter, through the dark half of the cycle of the year. And at this point, the weather can often still be very harsh. Like, the sun is definitely strong enough to make fires, to destroy, to burn the crops. And there can be extreme storms at this time of year, and hail, and that can all destroy the harvest. So it's a little bit about this question of when do I choose to harvest? Like, when is when are the crops ripe enough so that we can eat them, versus when is it too late and it has already been destroyed by the harsh weather conditions. And it's something we can feel into in our personal lives as well, I think, like this moment of where are we pushing things and want to harvest something in a project or whatever, and when can we allow to let it ripen at its own time and pluck when it's ready. Yeah, and if you would like to honor this quality of time right now, go out into nature and enjoy. Go for walks, go hiking, enjoy the scents in the air, the colors all around you. And if you like, make small offerings to nature. Like, people used to leave the most beautiful sheath of grain on the fields, or like let the biggest apple stay hanging on the tree to show nature that we don't take everything for us, but we want to give thanks and return something. So you can, for example, give a little offering of a few berries, put them under a tree, or you give a bit of breadcrumbs out under a tree, or you place simply a bowl of water or wine outside. And also, this is a time for reflection. As I said, it's a time of maturation. So it's about, okay, what has matured in your life this year and what is already ripe for harvest? What might need to be figuratively speaking, be pruned and cut right now. For example, cutting something so that something else that's more important for us can still continue the ripening process. Or what do we may have to let go of right now? What is needed to get the harvest that we want? And most importantly, celebrate what you've already got. There is, I'm sure of it, there is so much in your life that you can be grateful for. You yourself are a magnificent being with strengths and talents and resources, and be grateful for that. Like, we so often forget it, and we sometimes just need somebody else to remind us that we are indeed magnificent beings. Accept that there is something that you can harvest, and find your own way of expressing, of giving appreciation. And as for the themes of this time, I mean, as everything is interconnected, they have already come up in one way or another, but one of them is enjoying this abundance of nature and sharing gifts. And as I said, it's not just the gifts of Mother Nature, but also your gifts and talents. How would you like to bring them into the world? What do you want to do with what has been given to you, or what you have developed over the course of your life? And it doesn't have to be something big, you know, it can be small, giving in your community, offering your time and energy for a project that you really love, or just being present with your family or with yourself, whatever it is, but enjoying this abundance around and within. Yeah. And the second big theme is that of harvest and transformation. As I said, death belongs to life. And the way I see it, we have a lot of mini deaths to die before our ultimate transition. Because as, for example, women and menstruators, we have this mini death every month with our menstruation or around dark moon. There is part of us that is let go of, that dies, so that it makes room for something new. So death really belongs to this cycle. And when we honor, simply appreciate that, it makes a difference, or I found that it made a difference in my life. Because the seeds, they grow with the life of the sun into grain, into crops, and then they die so that we can live. And as I said, we make fertilizer for them, basically, and so that they can live again and be reborn next spring. And it's, yeah, I think it's a beautiful interconnection, an interconnected universe we live in. And for the third theme are boundaries and separation. I already mentioned that this is a festival of the Reaper goddess, the one who cuts not only the first grain, but also cutting through anything that doesn't nourish you anymore. She can help you if you ask her, like looking at the different areas of your life, your intimate partnership, your friendships, your work, your finances, your hobbies, your spirituality, and deciding, do you want to continue the things the way you are doing now, or would you like to change something? And just evaluating what's working for you and what maybe doesn't serve you, and then making the necessary decision to cut what isn't working for you out of your life, or to find resolution. I mean, we don't have to like separate immediately, but we can try to clarify a situation. And if that doesn't work, find a way for us to end this situation. And yeah, really finding your way of making the necessary decision in your life. And I would also love to give you a ritual at hand now, like a personal ritual that you can do for this. which I call separating the wheat from the chaff, making decisions. And I invite you to take a moment for that and make yourself really comfortable. Maybe light a candle, the candle symbolizing the sun, the life, and reflect on the following questions. The first question: what would I like to harvest in the different areas of my life? For example, intimate relationships, family, friendships, work, finances, body, health, spirituality. What would I like to harvest in the different areas of my life? And what is unnecessary weight that's holding me back rather than moving me forward? And the second question: what has now ripened in my life? And which things can I let go of that haven't ripened? Which threads can be cut? What needs to be separated or trimmed? And the third one: what can I sacrifice or simply offer as expression of my gratitude to the helpful spirits of nature, or God or goddess or source, whatever is your belief system? What can I offer as expression of gratitude to them who have been with me on this journey throughout the year? And then I have two suggestions how you could go about this ritual. You could either draw a circle on the floor or outside in nature and sit down inside of this circle, and then think about and make the decision of what stays with you or comes to you into the circle, and what needs to be outside. What do you need to maybe throw out, or what will you simply leave outside? Or as an alternative, you can simply draw a circle on a sheet of paper and then write into it what you would like to keep in your life, and write outside of the circle what it is you would like to let go of right now. And another way to celebrate or to mark this time of year is a ritual that you can do either in a group or on your own, which is going somewhere out into nature and collecting, gathering herbs, gathering fruit, picking apples, maybe even flowers. And before you do that, ask them for permission. Flower, may I pick you? And you can even feel into if it's a yes or a no, if you like. And then pluck if it's a yes. And when you've gathered what you wanted to gather, you come together into a circle, and then you place everything that you've gathered into that circle. And you stand around it holding your hands, and each one of you whispers a few words of gratitude into the circle. And either as an add-on or on another day, you could also come together and process this harvest together. Like when you've picked fruit, you could come together and make do some pickles. You call it pickles out of that, like when you make preserved fruit out of it, so you have something for the upcoming months. Or you collect herbs and you tie them into little bunches, and then you can hang them around the house and use them over the winter. And this way, celebrate the abundance of nature together. If you would like to know more about Lughnasadh and the rituals you can do, I have linked to an article that I've written on my blog below this in the descriptions. And if you would like to connect with the cycles more yourself, like get little reminders of what quality of time it is, both in the wheel of the year, but also in the personal cycle, I do write a weekly soul mail, a personal letter to you that reminds you of the different phases of the moon, of your personal cycle, and how you can have it be a real supportive ally, like how you can tune into the cycles of life and into your own cycle, so that you can easily surf on the waves of life instead of being thrown around by them. And lastly, if you've liked this video, please leave a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel and activate the bell so you get the notification when a new video is up. And if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out, to write them in the comments. I'm here, and I wish you a beautiful day. Much love.